Hello everyone, welcome to my next video. And this video is going to be a bit more of a sort of creature concept design sort of video. This is the first time I've ever tried something like this, and I got the idea basically from the concept art forums. For those of you who've not been on there, it's definitely worth checking out. And someone on there has got a post up saying basically they're trying to redesign some Pokemon just for fun, just to test the skills and things, and they're all picking a Pokemon, working on it, incorporating different ideas and just seeing what each person comes up with. And I was a bit inspired by this, and I mean there's a few things out there like that on the internet, and I thought I'd give it a go, try and give it an attempt, work up at Bulbasaur and see if I could make him realistic, or at least semi-realistic, because obviously the original Pokemon are very cartoony. The reason I picked Bulbasaur was purely because he was number one, as obviously there's ridiculous amounts of Pokemon now, so I just decided to stick with a simple one, go for number one. I used to love Pokemon as a kid, or play in the games anyway, the old Game Boy games, so I thought, yeah, it'd be a bit of fun, see how it turns out. As I said, it's the first time I've tried a sort of creature design thing. Wasn't really sure how it would turn out, but yeah, it was a lot of fun to do. So as you've seen, I basically started off with a sketch layer. In fact, sorry, I worked from reference as well to a degree. Obviously I didn't have a reference photo of this creature, but I basically gathered some reference of things like dinosaurs, plants, tortoises, and I think that's pretty much it. Then maybe just some close-up of different textures like the shells and things, which you can see I was trying to sort of mimic on this bit here. Yeah, it was a bit of a pain gathering reference because I'm not used to doing it, not to that degree anyway. But it's good practice for when I need it in the future as well. And from there, it was just a case of incorporating it all together and coming up with something that I thought would resemble a realistic Bulbasaur. I sort of looked into it first. Obviously Bulbasaur is the bulb in the sense of a plant and a dinosaur, so hence Bulbasaur. So I thought that'd be the best sort of reference to work with. The head in particular was quite difficult for me to sort of come up with a design for, and I ended up using, I think there's a dinosaur called Ankylosaurus, or I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but it's got a similar head to that. And I thought in terms of dinosaurs, that's going to be the closest thing I could get to it, because obviously as cool as the T-Rex head is, it's not going to quite look right on Bulbasaur. It doesn't quite match that. So anyway, after gathering reference, I started on like a sketch layer using a pencil brush, which I show you in another video. There's a link for that here. And once I've got that, I worked on just blocking in some, blocking in where the light was coming from, which, looking at this from this angle now, I do keep flipping it, but the light is on the right hand side. You can see on the green bit on its back at the moment, you can hopefully see where the light's coming in from. So it was quite difficult because I didn't really have reference for that. I'm still learning about lighting and colour, and especially with colour is quite difficult to make something realistic. This is the way I'm doing it here is probably way too saturated in most cases, but obviously being a Pokemon, they are very saturated, so I wasn't too worried about this, and you can always desaturate it later. And this was more of a first attempt thing, an experiment, let's call it. So once I'd blocked in the actual light source, I think I did that in grayscale first, I started just blocking in some base colours, and from there it was a case of actually getting some texture in. Originally I was planning on doing these like sort of scales, like a reptile on its body, and the way it looks is, to be honest, not so much scaly, but more like cracked rocky skin. But I was happy with that, but although I would have to say it was an absolute pain to do, purely because there's so many little scales to just draw by hand like that, and my hand was genuinely aching afterwards. And especially at the end, you can actually see, once I've done all these details, added the claws and things, gone over things, I actually go over every single scale again with a bit of lighting to make it look more realistic. I think of that as sort of final rendering type things, which I think I start in a second in the video, but it really made it look a lot more 3D, so I'm quite happy with the way that came out. As for the plant on its back, I went well, I'm hoping you can tell, but it's actually like a cactus sort of plant. Not really sure if that's appropriate for Bulbasaur or not, but I needed some sort of plant that was sort of dangerous, you know. And the only other thing I could think of was like a Venus flytrap or something like that, or some sort of poison plant. But I figured that's probably more related to the evolved versions of Bulbasaur, seeing as his plant is closed up. So I thought I'd stick with something like a cactus for this. I put a bit of grass coming around it as well. Yeah, and I think it worked out quite well. So I'm pleased with the way it turned out for a first attempt. It's, you know, by far it's not brilliant, it's not amazing or anything, but you know, I learnt a bit from it, and I got to test out some brushes, add a bit of texture to the scales, work with lighting, play around with colour, figure out what colours work together. I think the colour scheme actually, it does work quite nicely. As I say, it's a little bit saturated, but I still think that they're nice colours to use. It's also worth noting that for this I had to use a selection brush quite a bit, a selection tool, sorry, and the lock transparency pixels layer, just so that, because I was using a soft edged brush to get the sort of highlights and the lighting on each scale, or whatever you want to refer to them as, to make sure that the whole thing didn't blend in, so you could basically make out where, you know, the leg started, so it didn't blend in too much with the body. Same with the head and the body, things like that. When it came to background, I wasn't too worried about background because I'm not good with them yet. This was more just a creature design. I started off with something just to contrast the colours of Bulbasaur, but I changed them a bit to make it a bit of a grassy feel and just desaturated a bit. And yeah, that's it. I hope you guys like this, my first attempt for something like this. I'd love to see your guys' attempts at things like this as well. So if you've got any videos or pictures, do post them below. Let me know what you think, and please do subscribe. Thanks a lot, guys.